Rose by Joey Prestley. Are you here?
Where's Joey?
Right here.
Joey. That's Joey. What?
Joey Prestley.
This is Overweight Lady. Okay, this is Rose by Joey Prestley. We're having stage direction read by Howard again. Overweight Lady is our lovely Susan McCain. Not very good at casting that one. Little Girl will be Faith. Rose is Anna Francis. Vincent is Patrick McCarthy. Stacy is Beth. And Mother is Dorothy Williams.
Interior grocery store, night. Music plays throughout a small grocery store with very few shoppers. An overweight lady with curlers in her hair pushes a buggy down the aisle. The buggy is full of groceries and the baby is sitting up front. The baby is crying. The overweight lady is being followed by a little girl who is about 5 years old and is not wearing shoes. The little girl grabs a box of snack cakes from the shelf. The overweight lady grabs the box of cakes from the little girl.
Put those back! But I want them!
The overweight lady puts the box of cakes back on the shelf in the wrong place.
I want them! Shut your mouth or I'll move your ass!
She continues to push her buggy until she comes up to Vincent, who is stocking the shelves. He's in his early 20s, his head is shaved, and he has a few poorly done tattoos on his arms.
Can you tell me where the oatmeal is?
Vincent looks at the baby for a moment as it is still crying. He looks back up at the overweight lady and points.
Aisle 6.
Can you show me?
Vincent points again.
It's over there. 2 aisles over.
I looked there, I didn't see it.
Vincent looks at the crying baby, then back at the overweight lady.
Sure, follow me.
They start walking down the aisle. Vincent sees Rose looking at magazines. She is an attractive lady in her early 40s. She gives Vincent a flirtatious smile. Aisle 6. Vincent walks up to a shelf full of oatmeal. The overweight lady just now turns on the aisle as she cannot keep up. Vincent points at the oatmeal.
Here.
The overweight lady slowly pushes the buggy down the aisle with a blank stare and a crying baby. She finally gets there.
I thought I looked there.
Vincent looks at her for a moment, then walks away. Exterior parking lot night. The grocery store parking lot is almost empty. It's also very dark since many of the lights in front of the store do not work. Interior Rose's car, night. Rose is sitting in the driver's side of her car with the window rolled about halfway down. She is smoking a cigarette. The passenger side door opens and Vincent gets in. He shuts the door behind him.
I hate this place.
Rose hands him a pack of cigarettes. She takes a puff from her own.
Surprised you're not licked.
Yeah.
Vincent takes out a cigarette and puts it in his mouth. He hands the pack back to Rose.
How's it going?
Okay, I guess.
Vincent lights his cigarette and then shoves the lighter into his pants pocket. He takes a draw and looks out the passenger side window.
You got plans after work?
Vincent shakes his head no and then shrugs his shoulders.
Well, Gus is having a few people over.
Rose nods her head.
You want to come?
I don't think so.
Rose looks at Vincent as if she's expecting him to say something else. Vincent looks back at Rose and back at the window.
You haven't changed your mind, have you?
Vincent looks back at Rose.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
What's wrong?
Vincent continues to smoke. He shrugs his shoulders.
I don't know. You know, it's not like I've done this sort of thing before.
It will be fine.
Yeah.
Rose finishes her cigarette and tosses it out the window. She rolls the window up. They sit without saying anything. Rose looks straight ahead while Vincent looks out the passenger window.
Vincent, if you cannot do this, you need to tell me.
Vincent takes a draw from his cigarette and continues to look out the window. He finally turns and looks at Rose.
I said I'd do it. I'm going to do it.
Vincent takes a draw from the cigarette and looks around.
I think we should do it tomorrow night.
Vincent looks at Rose and then straight ahead. They sit in silence for a few seconds while Vincent continues to smoke.
Are you okay with that?
Vincent thinks for a moment.
I guess.
Rose watches Vincent. Vincent continues to smoke and the boy's looking at Rose.
3 years ago, Tom almost died in his sleep. He has seizures and he swallowed his tongue.
What happened?
Freaked out. I called 911 and I didn't think they would get there in time, so I grabbed my brush and stuck the end down his throat. I basically held his tongue down and put down the brush.
You saved your husband's life. That's crazy. What's that when something happens and it's the same but it's different?
Ironic.
Yeah, that's ironic.
Rose gives a little smile.
Yeah, I guess it is.
Why are you telling me this?
He still has seizures.
Vincent just looks at her. Rose lights another cigarette.
So I don't think we'll need the gun.
What do you mean?
I think the best way to do it is to smother him.
What?
If you shoot him, you have to worry about the gun, fingerprints, the neighbors may hear it.
So you're saying that if I smother him, people will think he had a seizure and choked or whatever?
Rose nods her head. Vincent tosses his cigarette out the window and rolls the window up.
I don't know. I mean, what do I do? Just hold a pillow over his head? What if he fights back? I can't hold him down.
Then you shoot him.
Vincent looks ahead for a moment.
I don't know.
Don't worry, you are stronger than he is. He may struggle for a while, but I don't think it'll be a problem. Just in case, we'll leave a gun in the top drawer of the nightstand.
Vincent looks around for a moment.
I already got a gun. I really don't want to shoot him, but
I'll set you out a nice little bit.
They look at each other. Rose takes a puff from her cigarette.
I gotta get back.
Rose nods her head. Vincent gets out of the car. He stands there with the car door open.
Hey, Rose.
Yep,
I love you.
Rose smiles.
I will see you tomorrow night.
Vincent looks at Rose for a moment and then shuts the door. Rose drives off. Vincent stands there as she drives away. Interior house, night. The house is full of people that are in their late teens, early 20s. They're standing around drinking beer. There's loud music playing. Vincent is standing against the wall by himself. Stacy walks up to Vincent. She is attractive, sweet. She has 2 beers. They have to talk loudly over the music.
Here.
Vincent nods his head and takes one of the beers.
Thanks.
Vincent stands there holding his beer while Stacy bobs her head to the music.
How was work tonight?
Vincent stares straight ahead. He sees Fred, who looks like a pug. Fred is talking and laughing with 2 other guys who look like pugs.
Hey.
Vincent never looks away from Fred.
Oh, it was alright.
Stacy nods her head and looks around the room.
Do you have to work tomorrow night? Me and some friends are going to the movies.
Vincent stands there for a moment.
Yeah, maybe.
He continues to watch Fred.
I'll be right back.
He walks away.
Yo, Fred.
Stacy takes a deep breath and rolls her eyes. She watches Vincent as he walks up to Fred. Vincent and Fred talk for a moment. Fred motions towards his friends that he will be right back. He and Vincent walk out of the room. Interior bedroom, day. The room is lit up with the sunlight pouring through the window. Vincent is lying shirtless in the bed next to the window with his hands behind his head. He's looking up at the ceiling. He raises up and looks out the window. He sees 2 little girls running around in the yard playing. Vincent turns around and puts his feet on the ground, puts his head down in his hands, and sits there for a moment. Vincent's cell phone alerts a text message. He sits up and then reaches over and picks the phone up, takes a second to read the message, then types a reply. Vincent stands up and puts the phone in his pocket, reaches down and picks up a t-shirt off the floor and puts it on. Interior kitchen, day. Vincent's mother is sitting at the table. She looks much older than she really is. She's drinking coffee and smoking a cigarette. Vincent enters the room.
I was wondering if you were gonna sleep all day.
I had to work last night.
Is that why you smell of beer and weed?
Vincent rolls his eyes and sits down at the other end of the table. He reaches over and grabs a cigarette from the pack that's sitting in front of his mother. He puts the cigarette in his mouth, takes the lighter out of his pants pocket, and lights the cigarette.
I need you to go to the store for me.
Vincent yawns and then takes a draw from the cigarette.
What do you need?
Milk, bread, cigarettes.
You got money?
No.
Vincent rolls his eyes and lets out a sigh.
I'll do it later.
They both sit and smoke in silence. With the cigarette in his mouth, Vincent gets up and walks away. Mother goes away. The door is heard opening and shutting across the room. The mother takes a final draw from the cigarette and then puts it out in the ashtray in front of her. She stands up and walks over to the sink. There's a small window above the sink. She turns the water on and starts washing her hands. The mother looks outside through the window and sees Vincent running and playing with the two little girls. Interior living room, night. The room is dark except for the light that's coming from the television. The two little girls are asleep on the floor. Vincent is sitting on the couch. He gets a text message. He takes the phone out of his pocket and looks at it. It's a message from Fred. I'm out. Vincent looks up concernedly. Interior car, night. Vincent is driving. He has a blank stare. The car is dark. Music is coming from the radio. As he drives, lights from the outside occasionally come in and out through the car windows. Exterior neighborhood, night. The neighborhood is dark except for the occasional street light. Middle-class houses go up and down the street. Some have porch lights on, some don't. Vincent's black sedan parks on the side of the street. Interior car, night. Vincent looks ahead for a moment, then puts the car in park, takes a deep breath, rubs his chin. He looks nervous. He looks around and then back to straight ahead. He focuses on a nice two-story house that's a few houses down from where he's parked. He bends over, bumps his head 2 times on the steering wheel. He looks back up, and then after a moment, he turns the engine off. Exterior neighborhood, night. Vincent gets out of the parked car. He slowly shuts the door so that it does not make any noise. He walks over to the sidewalk and heads to the two-story house that he's looking at earlier. Vincent walks down the sidewalk with his head down. A car passes him. He looks up at the car and then quickly back down. He continues to walk until he gets to the yard that's in the front of the two-story house. He stops and looks at the house. Exterior backyard, night. Vincent walks around from the side of the house. The yard is very dark. He comes to a fence. He grabs the fence and starts to climb, climbs to the top, swings his leg over, then climbs down the other side. He sneaks across the yard until he comes to the back porch. Vincent walks up on the porch. This part of the house has a door and window to the right of him. He grabs the bottom of the window and is able to slide the window up. He steps into the window and climbs into the house. Interior, Rose's living room, night. The room is dark. Vincent comes in through the window. He turns around and shuts the window. He starts to walk. His steps are loud. After a few steps, he stops and takes his shoes off. He looks around and slowly walks across the room to the staircase. Starts walking up the staircase. Interior hallway, night. Vincent is slowly walking down the hallway. There's just enough light to see his way through. There is noise. Vincent stops and puts his back to the wall. He stands there for a moment. He's still as a rock. He sees a picture on the wall of Rose and Tom sitting in a boat. Tom is overweight, balding, he's older than Rose. They look happy together. Vincent waits another moment and continues to walk. Interior, Rose's bedroom, night. The room is dark except for the streetlight coming in through the windows. Vincent slowly pushes the door. Rose and Tom are asleep in bed. Vincent looks around the room. There's a big red pillow propped up against the wall away from the bed. Vincent stands in the doorway looking at the bed. He slowly walks across the room to the pillow, picks up the pillow, and walks over to the bed. Tom is lying on his side, facing Vincent. He's sound asleep. Vincent stands by the bed looking down at Tom. Vincent then holds the pillow up and smashes it into Tom's face. Tom tries to yell, but it's muffled by the pillow. He tries to push the pillow away. Vincent climbs on top and puts his knees into Tom's stomach. The two push against the pillow. Rose is awake. She's on her side, facing away from the action. She doesn't move. Vincent and Tom continue to fight over the pillow. Tom is finally able to create just enough space between him and Vincent to reach over to the nightstand. He opens the drawer. Vincent pushes down on the pillow. Tom rolls a little, causing Vincent's knee to come off his stomach. While the fight continues, Tom is feeling around in the drawer of the nightstand. He finally pulls out a gun. Vincent sees the gun. He reaches for it. This causes both men to roll off the bed onto the floor. Vincent grabs Tom's arm with both hands. There's now a fight over the gun. The gun fires. Vincent falls to the ground. Rose quickly sits up and looks toward the action. Tom sits back down on the bed. He is breathing hard. Rose gets out of the bed and turns the bedroom light on. She walks over to the other side of the bed. She sees Vincent's lifeless body. Blood is pouring across the floor. Rose screams. Tom is still breathing heavily. He still has a grip on the pistol.
Call 911. What is this? Who's trying to kill me?
Rose stands in shock. She finally snaps out of it. She walks back to her side of the bed. She picks up her cell phone. Tom starts to grunt. Rose stops and looks over. It appears that Tom is having a seizure. Rose puts her phone down. She walks over to Tom's side of the bed. Tom's eyes are rolled back into his head. It appears that he's now unable to breathe. Rose watches him for a moment and then slowly takes the gun away from Tom. She takes a step back. Stepping over Vincent, there is a brush on the nightstand. She picks up the brush and takes another step back. Rose looks down at Vincent. He's not moving. Blood is all over the floor. She looks up and sees Tom continue to struggle. Rose continues to watch.